Let's go to the troubled gold fields of Carletonville, west of Johannesburg. For months, miners have been on strike in a pay dispute with Sibanye-Stilwater. We've heard much from the unions and management, but what about the miners who are suffering poor and desperate times? How are they going to vote in the election this year? My colleague Fifi went out to find the real story on the ground around the gold mines of Carletonville.
Boots made for deep underground make their way down from high on the mountain. The owner is making his way home from yet another meeting about a strike at a mine these boots haven't set foot in for months. This is Carletonville, an hour's drive from Johannesburg in the rich goldfields of South Africa. These mine workers are feeling the poor end of it right now. They've been on strike for more than 4 months over pay and won't go back until they get their way.
Kubantu badla chelete akasafumana chelete akethe mona dabi
ndisebenza nzima pha akunanto sithola sithola ukugula pha emgodini into ama-silicosis the way sisebenza nzima ngakhona akunanto siyitholayo namanje kudala sihlela pha utsho ukuthi akasicabangeli thina ucabangela yena self
ngizomxelela umqeshi uba siphefumula fresh air apha entabeni kunalanto siyiphefumula emgodini because iyasenza esifubeni. Ngoku sitsho sazibona uba kanti siphila kanjani because siyaqala thina ngabanye after le minyaka sisebenzile eDriefontein siyaqala ke sihlale 3 months singaye emgodini siphefumula nje le fresh air uphefumulayo nawe ezintatheli.
It's around lunchtime here in Carletonville, the home of Sibanye-Stillwater's gold operations. Most of these workers are going to their hostels to eat lunch. Even though they are on strike, Sibanye-Stillwater continues to provide free food and free lodging for workers at its hostel. When they were working, they had to pay. This free food is a small act of goodwill from the company. Although this is some relief, it's not enough. Many of these men are breadwinners at home, and not getting a salary has meant their families have suffered. People have had to sell cows to pay for their children to go to school. Around the table are the stories as lean as the food. Robert Khumalo has been working at this mine since 1983, when it was still owned by Goldfields. He started off as a general worker and was promoted to team leader in 2008. This came with extra pay, but for Robert, it was not enough to feed his family and send his kids to school.
Incane le mali kulabantwana ngoba isikolo uyazi isikolo sangabantu bangaphandle sidulile so ke nasidulile isikolo le mali iba incane kakhulu ekuthenini ungabakhava bonke labantwana enginabo ngishilo ngathi bangi-80 kuthengiswa inkomo ekhaya athengiswa kuze ukuthi babuyele esikolweni ngoba phela naku strikeile imali ayikho ngeke futhi bakhafe ngale mali manje ke yiyo le ndaba kuze kwathengiswa inkomo ekhaya yangikhathi ke babuyela ke esikolweni nakhona angaqedi hayi ukuthi ngiqedile kushuthi ngaJuni kuzaphinde kufuneke imali yalesikolo ake sonke manje kuyabonakala ukuthi ngizakwenza kanjani futhi noma kuzawuphinde kuthengiswe enye inkomo akwaziwa.
This miner from Lesotho has also been working at the mine for over 30 years. Close to retirement, he doesn't fear losing his job. He is fighting for a better future for his younger co-workers.
Fela o batla hore ha ke tsamaya ke ya hae bana beso ba tla sala mona ba fumane tšhelete batle ba tsebe hore foromena se ka kgona ho fumana tsela ena e etsang yena ba hae bana ba rutwa di-university kwana ba rona re tla ba ruta kang ha o bosheba 7,000 o ka gutla ngwana university.
Le mali yethu mayikhuphuke ngoba thina sisebenza phansi kwengozi i-risk lesisebenza kuyo ngoba uma sehla thina asazi noma sawubuye emgodini noma ungeke ubuye noma uzawubuya usufile awazi ufela u-8,000 kuphela.
The strike between Sibanye-Stillwater and the Association of Mine Workers Union has been going on for 4 months. AMCU is fighting for the 12,500 rand promised to workers 5 years ago. But Sibanye-Stillwater says it cannot afford it because slowing global growth, low commodity prices and increased costs have reduced profits. Sibanye's attempts to extend the wage deal it agreed with other unions to AMCU has been unsuccessful. The rules say when the majority union agrees, the rest should follow. AMCU rejects this, claiming that it is the majority union and has gone to court to prove it. Now, this car has been sitting here for the past 2 months. It came to be burnt at the height of friction and tensions between the major unions here at Sibanye-Stilwater. But it also represents the stalemate that currently exists between Sibanye-Stilwater and the Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union. Unfortunately, until either party budges, it will mean continued uncertainty for the thousands of mine workers that have not received a salary for the past 4 months. It will also mean continued uncertainty for the shareholders of Sibanye-Stilwater who are worried about their profits. The strike has hurt many beyond the workers. This is the town of Carletonville. People who own businesses here are feeling the pinch, like Pumla and Alaha, who have sold food to the miners for years.
So nabantwana kunjalo balambile. Nam ndilapha nje imali ayihambi, ibhizinisi yami ayihambi. Ndihleli nje la malusi ndiwadayisa apha kuyafana kuyahlala. Nenyama nayo ize yabola.
I've been here 3 to 4 years. I'm working here to this place. And then the way it's been striked now these days, it have been never... people are struggling very much these days.
Alaha says he's had to cut back on stock to reduce costs. He also has to allow customers with a good track record to buy things on credit. Business owners in other mining towns may also suffer if AMCU succeeds with plans to strike in the platinum sector. And if Sibanye-Stilwater goes ahead with plans to cut 6,000 jobs in the gold sector, the striking AMCU workers could likely be the first to go. But this doesn't scare them.
Yena njengoba ngasikhathelanga nje nathi asincenganga nto singabuyela emsebenzini singangabuyeli asinandaba nalonto. Yena uba ngaba ohlulakala kulento sithi sayifuna sizawuhlala tot azaphendule lento sifuna aba uzosiphendula uyasinika okanye akasiniki. Uba ngaba sicinga ugoduka masigoduke. Indaba emali asinandaba asenayo imali asenayo. Ucabanga le minyaka isetshenzwe ngolotata 35 years engenamali engenamzi manje. How long ucinga ukuthi uzofika thina emzini wakhe? Usuka apha uyohamba uyofela baba akanzanga nix emzini wakhe.
Akunanto engcono nayo.
Yebo akananto engcono nayo.
What is frightening is the violence around the strike. This video emerged on social media. It appears to show armed mine workers waiting to attack members of a rival union.
The violence at Sibanye is sponsored by Neil Froneman. The 21st of November, our last meeting we had at Kloof, we were attacked by the same NUM. He shot our members, stabbed them with spear. No one was arrested. And the strike the strike was not even started. So now the issue of intimidation and violence, it's clear that Neil Froneman, it's supported by NUM to unleash this violence against our members.
Both the National Union of Mine Workers and Sibanye-Stilwater have denied the allegations. In the long hours of boredom that dominate the rest of the strike, these workers pass the time playing cards. They hope AMCU holds the ace that will end the dispute in their favor.
Thina asinankinga nokuthi singaye emsebenzini mawufrele imali esibuyisela imali yethu sizokuhlika entabeni sibheke emsebenzini futhi simkhiphele igolide lakhe kahle.
Ere tlhokanyela mona AMCU majority kingwaga wa boraro foromane antsa saena le NUM ha majority rona re batla tšhelete AMCU ke yone majority ha gona gore ka mmere ko tšhelete sa nna teng
kuningi sasebenza ba sikhola ama 7,000 sawuze sibe ngabantu nini.
South Africa's Mines Minister Gwera Mantashe has called on the industry to negotiate in good faith and refrain from job cuts. But these workers feel Mantashe, a former mining union boss, has deserted them.
Kudala sijonga uGwede Mantashe futhi besinathemba xa ethu government ubeka uGwede Mantashe kwizimbiwa ngoba nguyena asaziyo yonke inhlupheko yethu apha ezimine uGwede Mantashe. Manje siyothuka akukho gama lika Gwede Mantashe malunga nestrike asesibanye akukho nix sise strikeeni nje no Ramaphosa nguye wasungula NUM kodwa ngenjongo zokuthi ufuna unceda abantu basezimine toti sabona umuntu ongasinceda nguJoseph Mathunjwa.
uRamaphosa umbone ngumongameli nje usuka phakuthi siku-NUM noGwede Matacho langumphathiswa wezimbiwa kodwa ngoku namhlanje abasijonganga thina besibanyusile bekwendawo bakuzo ngoku kodwa bayafuna amavoto wethu.
On a hill not too far away, a reminder of mining's painful past. The union AMCU commemorates the dead of Mashiqana just an hour's drive from here. 34 miners were shot dead in a wildcat strike at Lonman's Platinum Mine in 2012.
Ngeba sifikile ku-12.5 ngoku kudala semqalile sithetha nalo mqashi wethu engaseva
2012
kusuka ka-2012
sithetha ka 12.5 le gona tjena ha iyo 12.5 ke yona e re batlang.
Mining bosses pledged to improve the lives of the miners in the wake of the Mashiqana tragedy. It seems they are still trying. Fifi Peters, reporting for CNBC Africa in Johannesburg.
And still with mining, this week, AMCU vowed to spread this gold strike to the platinum sector. This week, CNBC Africa caught up with AMCU President Joseph Mathunjwa.
How have your workers been surviving?
They've been surviving. Remember, they were not employed in January 2018. Some of them, they've got 23 years employment, so they've been saving money. The very same slave salary that they were getting from Neil, those leftovers that were falling from the dining room of Neil Froneman and his family is where they were picking up and trying to save it. So that is how the struggle is all about.
How far can those savings go, Mr. Mathunjwa?
No, it's not about how far. The revolution is revolution. You cannot put a date on a revolution.